Hi everyone, welcome to another session of Jinaja TV News Corp. My name is Olatunde, and we have some great news basically coming out of Nigeria, especially at this point in time. So, without too much ado, I will want to actually start with the storyline of a gentleman who basically that wanted to get out of Nigeria, and when he finally did, it actually cost him a lot, like millions of Nigerians waiting to actually get out of the country for a greener pasture. So it's just something that each time I actually think about this, I'm thinking, how on earth people are selling all their heritage, things that have taken them years to, you know, things that have actually taken them years for them to accumulate just because they actually want to get out of the country. And unfortunately, unfortunately, it's not turning out. What their expectation have been met. Let me just put it that way. So let's start with the storyline of a gentleman that sold the father's property in Lagos, and in the hope, the father still alive, in the hope that when he gets to Canada, he was told by someone that once he gets to Canada within 1 year. Unfortunately, that is a fallacy. It is not that exists in El Dorado. You know where El Dorado is. So it's something that this is something that the father actually worked for, and they believed in him. The father had this expectation that the son will definitely come back. So the father was in the know about selling the property. So the storyline is, Japa, I sold my father's house for 45 million to relocate to Canada. So he says a former student of Lagos State University, John Chukwudi, has shared a heartbreaking story about his decision to sell his father's house for 45 million to relocate to Canada. He revealed that the dire situation in Nigeria, particularly the frustrations caused by the government's policy and mismanagement, drove him to seek a better life abroad. The students expressed feelings of desperation and disappointment, highlighting how the challenges of living in Nigeria made them feel that living was their only option. His play underscored the struggle faced by many young Nigerians who feel compelled to abandon their homes in search of greater opportunities and a more stable future. After the passing of his father, he made a difficult decision to sell the family home, a beloved residence filled with memories, for a significant sum of 45 million naira. This money was intended to serve as a foundation for a fresh start in Canada, a country he believed held greater opportunities for his future. With high hopes, dreams, he embarked on his new journey, imagining a life free from the struggles he faced back in Nigeria. However, as the weeks turned into months, he found himself grappling with the harsh reality of unemployment in a foreign land. A year has now passed since his arrival, and despite his diligent effort to secure employment, he remains unemployed. You know, this is the story of a lot of people, even in the UK right now. They have this thing, oh, you'll be making like about 30 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand, you know. Um, just imagine how much, when you do the exchange rate from pounds to naira, you're talking of you'll be making about 3,000 pounds, a month. So when they do the maths, it comes down to, like, say for instance, they're using say for instance they are saying 2,500. So they're looking at something around 6 million, 5 million plus. That is huge. So, and the Arianas believe that everything will come to them. They're not thinking about the fact that they will pay for rent. They're not. They have no clue that the UK is actually going through an inflation right now. That thinks that the cost of living has actually gone up so badly. No idea of that. All they're thinking is that El Dorado, UK, here we come. and for others. But this gentleman was actually dealing with Canada. So then the harsh reality, once they get here, they are grappling with COS. They are actually dealing with, you know, they found out that all the people they saw with their designers were looking fresh. It was just about the weather. And then the next thing is like, what is going on? So the reality slaps them in the face. And I mean literally slaps them in the face. This money, anyway, so let me continue with the story. This money was intended to serve as a foundation for a fresh start in Canada. So they sold 45 million. So they sold the property for 45 million. The dad actually took like 5 million, then went back to their hometown in Enugu. And so the guy, paid for all sort of things, all the extortionate charges, all the various fake agents and real agents. If they are real, they will extort you, collect some, some monstrous charges are imposed, and that's how 40 million went. So, but the guy was okay. He was like, yeah, now I've escaped the demons of struggle and whatever. Then he gets to Canada. Then found out that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Anyway, let's continue. His frustration is palpable, and the sense of helplessness weighs heavily on him as he navigates the complexity of adapting to a new culture while searching for employment. As he reflects on the tough decision he made, the emotional toll of selling his father's house becomes even more pronounced. He contemplates the sacrifice he endured and is faced with the bitter realization of the steep cost associated with seeking opportunities abroad. Questioning whether the gamble he took was worth the outcome. Attacking the Nigerian government, Chukwudi said, as a graduate, I was struggling to eat, except I relied on my parents. At the point, I was ashamed because everything had to come from my parents. The Nigerian government has put people under unnecessary pressure to take some drastic decisions. I left the country due to bad government, nothing else. After I graduated from LASU in Lagos, I went back to Enugu to learn fashion designing profession. After a few years, I returned back to Lagos, but the most annoying thing is that I could not see a good fashion firm to get me employed. But one of my cousins, whom I used to sue for, told me I would be needed in Canada, I would make more money from what I'm doing. I told my parents, he told us how much it will cost me and told us how many months it will take me to recover such money back if I can take such decisions. My father took a big gamble to sell his house, good Lord, in Anifoshe and relocated back to Enugu, hoping that after 1 year I'll be able to buy new house for him. I am already using 13 months in Canada. I'm only doing some useless jobs. Unfortunately, my cousin has abandoned me. Speaking further on how much he sold his father's bungalow at Anifoshe, Ikeja Lagos, he said, of course, my parents are planned to relocate back to Enugu due to demolition of houses in Lagos. So he took the decision when the Canada opportunity came up and hoped that I will buy a bigger house in less than a year after getting to Canada. We sold the house 45 million. We took 40 million to process my Canada relocation in 2024. Wow, how sad. How sad. So what I always try to tell people coming over is please don't sell anything. I know of a guy a while back, I think a couple of months. So he asked me that he said he wanted to relocate to the UK. And I said, now I know a bit about his background. This guy has a poultry farm, is into data analytics. So I mean, yeah, he's making some pretty decent amount of money. So and he has great prospects. He's still under 30. And this guy was already making, and I told him, I said, look, with your poultry farm alone, you will be able to, you've already started. Keep building on it. Don't, and I can assure you that this guy is friends that were in the UK. This guy was actually sending them money from Nigeria, changing the naira that is disdained. You know, one thing I've learned is that sometimes when God gives us some things, it might look like rubbish, but at the end of the day, it is always a hidden gem. Well, he's left and he's in the UK now. I pray it works out for him. But you know, this thing is not new. This is what a lot of people do. They sell off their businesses, they do everything, dismantle everything that's taking them decades to actually build up. And then because they've been told, once you get down here, you will start afresh, you buy Range Rover, you do this, you do that. And then, unfortunately, once they get here, it's too late. Then they now realize that they've been had. Yeah, that they've been had. So it's a very tough one, really. So this is one of the things that we just try to say that look, once you are, if you're traveling, please don't disconnect your brain. Do your due diligence, proper due diligence. Find out exactly what you actually need to do properly and make an informed decision. Don't be like those other people that just decide that, no, it's okay, everything is hunky dory, that they've been told. This is not something you find out yourself. Go there, find out yourself, and see what happened. So, moving swiftly on. Um, Now, this is a domestic case of, some of the fallouts of things that have actually happened in Nigeria when, people are going through real economic nightmare, no doubt about it. So, in this story, a man is reported to have forced a young man to take some poisonous substance. Unfortunately, fortunately, the guy did not die, but his father died of shock. Okay, so let me bring this story up very quickly. It's things are happening. Things are seriously happening that most people wouldn't even believe. You would think it's some Nollywood stories. So the story goes like this: that the police arrest Osun chief who forced a young man to drink poison for allegedly stealing 2 ears of corn. Imagine that, chief. Really, really sad thing. So the Osun State Police Commander has confirmed the arrest of a chieftaincy title holder identified as Chief Ajibade Benga, the Ejimo of Ipetu Ijesha, for allegedly forcing a young man to drink a poisonous substance over alleged theft. The incident occurred in the Ireti Ayo area of Ilesha a week ago after the 25-year-old man advertised as Ebenezer allegedly stole 2 ears of corn from Ajibade's farm. The spokesperson of the command, Abiodun Ojelabi, who confirmed the arrest in a statement on Thursday, 7th of August, said investigation had commenced into the matter. Ojelabi also disclosed that the victim's father died of shock after some people informed him that his son had died of poisoning after being caught stealing. In a short video posted by Osun journalist Ezekiel Strop, the chief was seen holding a cutlass and later forcing the young man to drink from a cup containing poisonous substance. After he was forced to drink the substance, Chief Ajibade left him to go. We quickly rushed the boy to Wesley Guard Hospital, Elisha, where doctor eventually neutralized the effect of the poison. A source told. But when all that was going on, someone went to the house of the father of the victim and told him that his son had been poisoned for stealing corn and died. The man was seized by shock. He eventually died. But the boy that drank the poison is alive and stable. Police have arrested the suspect in his hometown, Ipetu Ijesha, and moved him to Osogbo for further investigation. Giving some clarification about the incident, the PPRO, the police PPRO, police public relation officer, during a chat with the publication, identified the suspect as Chief Ajibade, age 62 years. The boy allegedly stole 2 pieces of corn from the man's farm. The man caught the suspect, beat him up, mixed the substance, and forced the boy to drink it, he said. The boy drank it with the help of the good people around. They rushed the boy to a hospital. He was rushed to Wesley Guild Hospital. Doctors at the hospital sustained him and he did not die. The doctors stabilized him, but the news of the incident reached the father of the boy that was caught stealing. Some people went to the father and told him that his son had died of poison after being caught stealing corn. The father immediately gave up the ghost. The boy is alive, but his father died of shock. The matter has been reported and we have the suspect here with us. The investigation will continue to the matter, he said. So, you see, there's actually a video of this. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure exactly where that is. But what I actually want to say about all of this is that, you know, there are some people who are stealing not just for show, not for greed. I'm not saying it is correct or it is right for somebody because you are hungry that you now go and steal. But what actually must be pointed out here is that there was I mean, where was the human compassion? Chief. Chief did not need to actually go to that extent. Well, I don't know whether this thing that he actually mixed was truly poisonous or not, but well, allegedly, he said it is. And the boy was actually rushed to the hospital. And unfortunately, some people, before they even knew the end of the story, ran down to the father's house, the boy's father's house, told him that your son is dead. And guess what? The man died of shock immediately. Meanwhile, the boy was stabilized, is alive, but the father has died of shock. So you see, this is one of the reasons that when we're talking about compassion, there are some people, yes, who do things out of greed, not because they are hungry, but because it's a deliberate effort. Come on, 2 heads of corn, really, that is all what this guy actually took, and yet they finished him off. It's rather unfortunate, Now, okay, chief. Now, I read somewhere where they said he's a member of a golf club or so, and they've expelled him or whether they suspended him. I don't know. So now Chief has destroyed his own life as well because of what? Could you not have just let go? Okay, fine. Worst case scenario, if you want to give him some slaps for taking your stuff and thing, just come on. You have family as well. So for our next story, um, this is the story of what Nigeria is seriously grappling with. Seriously grappling with. And it's really sad. Terrorism is fast becoming a a part of Nigeria. God forbid. But the facts right now is actually indicating that. Now, there have been several efforts that the government have actually made since trying to, you know, they're trying to come up with solutions to the menace of terrorism. And what are some of the stuff they've been doing? They've been doing things like re-educating terrorists who have now said they are sorry. I don't know about that because there have been previous efforts being made along this line and it has not worked. In fact, these people have made a mockery of those efforts. I have never believed in it because I believe that these guys actually have ulterior motive. So maybe they are taking it as a kind of holiday, like they can come out, safely for some time, pretend that everything is okay. The truth of the matter is that it's true. I don't really have hard facts about this, but there have been reports out there of terrorists coming out, and some being actually been added to the existing security framework, which I found really astonishing. Who does that? So the storyline says over 300 repentant terrorists undergoing rehabilitation. The federal government has revealed that these repentant terrorists are currently undergoing rehabilitation as part of its broader efforts to counter terrorism through non kinetic means. When they actually use all these words, non kinetic means, I'm thinking, are these people for real? Have they had any family members been victims? The national coordinator of the National Counterterrorism Center, Major General Adamu Laka, disclosed this on Thursday, August 7, 2025, in Abuja during the high level stakeholders and donors meeting focused on promoting livelihood and agricultural opportunities for ex combatant and conflict afflicted communities. Like I said, the initiative is a continuation of the government's de-radicalization and reintegration program under Operation Safe Corridor. He added that over 2,600 former fighters have already completed rehabilitation at the Malam CD camp in Gombe State, Nigeria. According to Laka, the 300 individuals currently undergoing rehabilitation are among those who surrendered voluntarily. Hmm. In recent months, particularly from the northwest and north central regions of the country. Operation Safe Corridor De-radicalization, Rehabilitation, and Reintegration programs in Malam City, Gombe State, has so far graduated over 2,600 low risk former combatants, providing them with psychosocial support, vocational training, and reintegration assistance. Currently, there are over 300 clients in the camp undergoing the process, he said. Furthermore, a growing number of terrorists and bandits are now expressing willingness to surrender in the northwest and north central region. Efforts are currently underway to design and implement similar disarmament, de-radicalization and reintegration program tailored to these regions in northwest Nigeria. Laka Alva said many repeated terrorists get limited opportunities after reintegration, adding that this could hamper the gains of the rehabilitation process. What do you expect? Do you think people will just open their arms? What program do they have for victims of terrorism? I don't know of any. However, one of the key lessons from previous disarmament, de-radicalization and reintegration experiences is the urgent need for sustainable economic reintegration pathways. Many former clients face uncertainty and limited opportunities once reintegrated, which can threaten the gains of the rehabilitation process. I thought that was called real living. Isn't that real life? So because somebody is broke and there's no money, so the first thing they should put is put on the black lava, carry a gun or machete, and go to a bank. Is that it? He also announced the launch of a new agri business and livelihood initiative in partnership with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. Like I said, the initiative is aimed at ensuring sustainable integration by providing access to land, inputs, training, mentorship, and market opportunities. He noted that the program is designed not just for repentant terrorists, but also for widows and members of conflicted affected communities, with 6 states already indicating interest in hosting the project. Strategies that empower individuals and restore livelihoods are essential to building lasting peace and preventing resurgence of extremist ideologies. The new project will provide access to land, inputs, training, mentorship, and market linkage for former clients of the federal government disarmament, de-radicalization reintegration program, as well as widows and members of conflict-affected communities, he said. Please, where are the victims? What program do they have for victims who have lost um, the main breadwinner of their family? What program? I can't see anything in regards to that. In as much as I sort of, well, okay, for what is worth, that effort have been made along this line. There's no hard statistics that actually show what the success rates have been. But the reports that we have seen severally have shown most of these people going back. You know, some, I understand, were reintegrated into the military and they carried the military, their weapons, went back to join their mates, and they were, they were being videoed and they were seen dancing, lifting up the weapon they took with them when they left. Not one, not twice. So I think all this thing needs to be looked at properly. Yes, it's. I mean, I will actually love the idea up to a certain level. That, yeah, there will obviously be some, but how much of some, that are ready to actually go back, who genuinely have repented, not the ones that they are tired of being chased by the military, by the security services, so they need some respite. So they just come out and just say we are sorry. Meanwhile, this will have butchered people like chicken. So, lastly, I think lastly the storyline that we actually have is about the same thing. About a few days ago, we actually came up with this story about in Zamfara State. this menace called Toji in Zamfara, Bello Toji. I'm sure a lot of people are now familiar with this guy. You know, it was said that this guy has given up terrorism. That is now that there were some Islamic clerics who have spoken to him, and then he has given some symbolic weapons up to demonstrate his commitment now to peace. Mhm. I remember then with my co-host who is not here today, Jane Rogers. I remember what we actually said. That I'm like, I don't believe this. I mean, this thing sounds so, there's just something about it that is not right. Mhm. And now we now found out that there, in fact, the whole storyline is now being made out to be fake. That is fake news. We all know about fake news. So now this is the guy. I'm sure we can see this now. So let me put that on the screen. This is really sad. It says Sokoto Zamfara farmers lament as Toji extorts 100 million pieces peace levies. Hang on, isn't it the same guy they said has now given up? Is now a model of what? Of is now a model of a civilized member of the community. Bandit kingpin Belutoji has reportedly imposed a reign of fear and extortion across eastern Sokoto and part of Zamfara state, forcing dozens of rural communities to pay over 100 million in illegal levies within the last 50 days, local sources have said. According to high witnesses, local monitors, 34 communities across eastern Isa Sabong Bini, local government areas in Sokoto, as well as Shinkafi, local government in Zamfara, were compelled to pay what Toji gang called peace levies, mandatory payments in exchange for access to farmland during the current rainy season. The extortion scheme is said to be coordinated from Toji Notorious Gwali Gwali camp, which has become a hub for armed operations and hostage detention in the region. The bandits told villagers they must pay or abandon their farm. It's a tax system under threats and gun, said Basharu Atlin, a community advocate familiar with the situation. Communities affected include many already impoverished by years of insecurity. In several villages, farmers reportedly pool resources to meet the gang's demand, fearing violence or abduction if they fail to comply. In addition to the levies, between 85 and 150 people, mostly from Issa Sabo, Bini, and Chikafi, are believed to be held hostage at Gwali Gwali camp. Locals said many were abducted during attacks on rural markets and homes in recent months. Many farmers who could not afford the levies abandoned their fields, raised concerns over looming food shortages. We cannot continue under the shadow of warlords. You know, then somebody said um, that meanwhile claims in some quarters, like I said a few days ago, that Terje had surrendered his weapons, and renounced banditry have been strongly refuted by residents. So let me highlight that there. You know, So, a resident of Shikafi local government said there was no author of truth in the reported surrender of the bandit leader. It's not true that Bill Liturgy has repented and surrendered his weapons. The story is not only untrue but baseless, and we have yet to receive our people currently in his captivity. Because it was said then that about 32 um, captives have been released, and now they're saying nothing like that. That is some people's fantasy dream. Sani said the story of Toji surrendering some arms and freeing some Aussie was viral online on Tuesday. Yep. Sani Ave alleged that Toji and his fighters have a history of deception to avoid military offensives. They always pretend whenever arrests or operations are imminent, he said. He added that Toji remained active within parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, and across the border in the Republic of Niger. If he has actually surrendered and released his captives, let the relevant authorities come out and explain, he said. Efforts to reach the special advisor on security to Zamfara State Governor Ahmed Damanga and the state's PPRO Yazid Abubakar were unsuccessful as they did not respond to calls. And that's it, folks. This thing is ongoing and is rather unfortunate. So everything about Toji being a role model citizen have disappeared. Boom, just like that. It was all a fallacy. It was all lies. So, well, just want to say thank you, everyone, for another session. And tomorrow we'll be here again, not same time, much earlier. And good night and God bless. Thank you.